I mean, it's really simple. It's people helping people. Just recognizing that, why we're here, how we're here, and kind of the beauty of it coming back together is pretty cool. Health is a human right, and people should have access to what they need. But this isn't a reality for everyone. My brother Zach and I have always looked at ourselves as problem solvers.
We always kind of live our life with this concept of find a need and fill it.
What started as two different missions has now come together as MedWish Medworks. We are addressing barriers people face, advancing health equities and environmental sustainability.
It's apparent that we can do more together.
And today our impact keeps growing.
I had worked as a scrub nurse during my summers. I loved being in the hospital. I was a weird kid. As a college student, I had the opportunity to travel to Abomashaw, Nigeria, and work on a medical compound that literally had no medical supplies.
It's there that we would start our days in the operating room, washing out the rubber gloves that we had used the day before, washing out the syringes that we had used the day before. We would cut pieces of fishing line to use up to sew people's wounds up, and we would collect bread bags from the villages to examine people. One night we were sitting there, and we heard a loud noise, but it was 4 or 5 guys carrying a woman in, family member. She was sitting on the back of a pickup truck, and she bounced out and hit her head. And they carried her in from her hand. I'll never forget the image, from her hands and her legs. And she was like shaped like a U, and they were carrying her in. And they put her on the table, and she wasn't breathing, and she had no pulse. So he starts doing CPR. Tells me to squeeze the bag to breathe first. He's doing the chest compressions, and I'm breathing while we're moving her on this gurney to the operating room. So we get her to the operating room, and we put in a breathing tube in her throat. But to connect that breathing tube to the ventilator, you need a tubing. And they couldn't find this tubing. They say, we're out of this tubing. They can't find the tubing. They're looking, they're calling. It seemed like seconds. But later it came, it was over an hour that we were doing this. And at one point they said, we have to stop. The head doctor, Dr. Tarpley, comes in and he assesses the situation, and he knew I didn't know anything. And he said, we have to stop. I literally was like, do I stop now? Like, at what point do you stop? And they came behind me and gave me a bear hug and pulled me away. And I just walked outside and just lost it. I was very mad that we didn't have that tubing. And I had worked in the operating room and known that we throw these types of things away every day. And I just said, well, we're going to do something about that. There's a need over here and we have excess over here. It doesn't take a genius to take the excess to the people who need it. I didn't think much about it. I didn't think I was starting a nonprofit. I was just going to take stuff, send it to people who need it. That was it. I didn't think about funding. I didn't think about rules. I didn't think about regulation. I was just like, I saw a woman die because we didn't have tubing. I know we throw it away. We're going to take tubing that we would otherwise throw away and just send it to people who need it. That was it. And I went to a hardware store and bought a couple bins. And I talked to the OR nurses and I said, hey, here's my idea. My brother, Zach, was in high school and he needed volunteer hours.
Lee needed people to implement his big ideas and do the manual labor. So I was pulled off the bench to be the first volunteer.
So we arranged for him to come in the evening and weekends when no one was really around, take these bins out of the ORs, put them in his truck, take it to initially my parents' garage, and then we got a small warehouse.
The needs didn't stop, so neither did we. We were shipping supplies all over the world, equipping volunteers, and we even started coordinating our own international volunteer mission trips too.
Everyone knows that we send supplies around the world, and that's terrific. And I'm very proud of what we do, and I guarantee you, and I make a promise to you, we're going to continue to grow that.
Thinking about how we got here, without getting emotional, MedWorks would not be here without Lee and the path that MedWish had laid out and the vision that Lee had so many years ago.
My own vision grew out of a conversation one night while we were volunteering in a brigade in Honduras.
Everybody was exhausted, sitting around debriefing. The conversation started coming up about the need that we have in Cleveland.
It just naturally came out of the work we were doing overseas to say, well, we need to be doing this here in our own backyard.
I didn't at that time appreciate what that conversation was going to turn into and how it was going to become such a substantial part of my time and my life. It wasn't rocket science. It was a pretty basic idea. There must be a way to do it.
Having the opportunity to kind of take threads of the ideas that were laid out before us and kind of build a local program
That was the start of MedWorks.
Anybody who shows up gets served, no questions asked. No proof of insurance, no proof of income, no proof of citizenship. You show up here today at MedWorks, you'll be seen.
On that very first clinic versus the clinics now, it's still that same energizing magic.
The amount of people that showed up so early really was a surprise for us.
We now have about 3,500 medical, dental, vision volunteers and social workers and pharmacy and lab techs.
MedWorks volunteer army is rock solid and extraordinarily deep. So the volunteers are what makes it happen. And what you realize after one of these clinics is it's not a numbers game. It's actually one individual, one person's life. And we had so many of those that have just changed somebody's life forever.
After over 30 years as MedWish International and over 15 years as MedWorks, the two organizations came together as one.
He and I have always seen this vision of these two organizations. Really, it was a natural fit.
At the end of the day, it's all a portal for people engaging to help people. It doesn't matter if those people are in a country that we've never been to, or if it's somebody that lives 2 blocks away from us.
Barriers to health look different in different places. So do our programs. Today, we've repurposed millions of pounds of life-saving medical equipment and supplies, distributing them in our Cleveland neighborhood and around the world.
Our clinics and medical brigades have offered care to thousands of patients. For our local patients, many times, this is just the start of our connection as we help them find long-term support and resources.
There's been thousands of volunteers who've given of their time away from their families on the weekends and the evenings, sorting supplies, going to dental clinics, vision clinics, going to medical brigades internationally. That's what this organization is about. It's really about our community.
It's not about us. I'm in awe that, this doctor or this school teacher is giving their time. None of this happens without them.
I couldn't be more thankful to the people who have, from years past, been there, and the people who will be here in the future to help continue to drive this organization forward.
MedWish Medworks would not be able to operate, to fulfill its mission, and to help all of these people in need without you.
So we hope you'll join us, become a part of MedWish Medworks family, and we can all make a difference together.